Rosie O'Donnell has been holding on to Ellen DeGeneres' secrets for years. She saw Ellen's rise to the top of Hollywood and her downfall. Now Rosie is finally speaking out on Ellen's alleged connections to Jeffrey Epstein's island and why Ellen ran away to the UK.
The live press conference, and she was crying and thanking him for a second chance, and all it looked to me was like a prostitute and a pimp controlling the prostitute, saying, "You're gonna say this to save face from me." And I said that.
Ellen's connection to Hollywood's elites and their dark secrets has long been part of the rumors surrounding her ascent to the top. Even before the release of the Epstein files, there were questions as to where Epstein was actually getting his victims from.
About children and women. And those are the people that I always wanted to protect and take care of. And so if I'm remembered for that, that will be a life well lived to me.
Everyone knew that Epstein was connected to Hollywood somehow, but no one knew exactly who this connection was. Then the emails were released and the flight logs started leaking. Suddenly, Ellen's name was put out into the spotlight, and everything that Rosie had been saying about her for so long started to make sense.
Ellen DeGeneres is named in the Epstein documents, and that part is real. Her name appears in the broader index of over 300 high-profile individuals that show up across the investigative materials. Flight logs, communications, third-party interviews, peripheral records.
And so if I do, I don't want it to go to waste. Who will eat pizza if I... Jennifer? Yes? Harrison? Yes? All right. Too large? What do you think? I'm going to order some pizza. That's what I'll do. Please welcome our next presenter, tonight's big winner of our Scratcher Lotto card, Bradley Cooper.
These emails detailed how Epstein was in contact with multiple recruiters in Hollywood, and the person who had introduced Epstein to them was allegedly Ellen. Rumor has it that these recruiters would talk to child stars showing up on Ellen's show and lead them to believe that there was an opportunity for them if they went on this private island trip. The most shocking part of the story is how the parents were completely fine with sending their kids alone to a private island in exchange for money. Allegedly, the parents knew, they just didn't care.
This was a sophisticated file who was doing abusive to these children. How could that not change their psyche? They were kids. Right. They were children who had been abused the vast majority of their childhood in horrific ways, where push pins were in their pants. Like, it wasn't a casual father that came in drunk, and this was a sophisticated pedophile.
There are emails in the Epstein files of Epstein working as a recruiter for Victoria's Secrets and using his position to prey on young women under the guise of giving them a job. Everyone in Hollywood knew what Epstein was doing and what his casting calls were really about, but they just didn't care. The worst part is that Ellen was allegedly sending dozens of child stars from her show to Epstein's beauty pageants.
What I spoke about was not just making fun of him. He owned beauty pageants, and if you grew up in New York like I, you knew who he was from the get-go. In New York, he's not respected, and he never was. And I grew up watching his planes be repossessed off the runways at LaGuardia, watching him try to sell steaks and vodka. He's a con man.
Here's the thing. Mainstream media never reported what was happening in Hollywood, despite hundreds of victims coming forward against the predators. Instead, people like Epstein were protected, and that's because Epstein's network was working with the biggest names in news and entertainment. There were reports recently about how Epstein leveraged close personal and professional ties with the billionaire Mortimer Zuckerman to try to influence the New York Daily News' coverage of allegations against him after his 2008 conviction for setting a minor for prostitution. Epstein literally controlled the media.
He got protection and purchased it. He made a, criminal conspiracy deal with CBS, and the powers that be at the time agreed that it was better to pay the bully than to stand and fight with a case where they did nothing wrong. Right. And they decided to pay him off, so they paid him off.
Part of this is the reason why Ellen, host of one of the biggest daytime shows in Hollywood, was using her platform to normalize cannibalism and using human stem cells. In an episode with Sandra Bullock, Ellen and Sandra Bullock openly discussed her use of adrenochromes extracted from children and laughed about how it kept them young. How is this not a part of the Epstein agenda?
Okay, let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many, did you get the whole cast of Ocean's 8 to do this?
Not everybody.
Okay, good, smart ones.
Just those that I thought would appreciate it.
Okay, explain what it is.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the serum.
What are you pushing into the skin, Sarah? Sandra?
Sarah?
Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
Investigative journalists have discovered thousands of references to Epstein extracting stem cells from children on his island and using these stem cells to keep himself young. These cells can only be taken from children, and the fact that Ellen was bragging about this on national TV is insane.
The child's half you're not going to get organ rejection. That's what Epstein was actually one of his main businesses, along with Peter Nygaard. Oh yeah, it's much worse than just 14-year-old, 15-year-old girls. They want you to just stay in that area and never get down the rabbit hole. That's the entrance to the rabbit hole. Is 14, 15-year-old girls. No. Down in the rabbit hole. Down in the rabbit hole is women getting pregnant with the man's own baby, so it doesn't get genetically rejected. Central African women, because they have dominant genes, and the stem cells are about 100 times better. Just a fact for health effects. And then the woman has an abortion at 8 months. They suck the baby dry of its bone marrow, its blood, and in multiple transfusions, put it into the rich old men and rich old women. And that's what Peter Nygaard, that's public, by the way, and not public, Epstein did, though it's leaked. He was into cloning and hundreds of babies of his own and underground medical facilities at Zorro Ranch, and all these medical chairs, and all this. Oh yeah, that's what they do.
It's not just this. Mainstream media has always protected predators and criminals. Rosie O'Donnell once recounted a story about how Bill Cosby had been invited to her show and began to assault the producers who were working there. When Rosie tried to expose Bill Cosby for this, not a single major producer was willing to air the show. This was years before Bill Cosby was eventually exposed. Ellen went to protect her image and keep her secrets under wraps is haunting. In 2022, the Department of Justice announced that they had completed their initial review of the Epstein files and were going to release his Black Book client list and make all his emails and court documents publicly available. Right after this announcement, Ellen announced that she was shutting down her show forever. Ellen knew what was in those emails and how it would destroy her career, which is why she made that decision. The two people who had the most to say about Ellen were Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, and Stephen Twitch Boss, Ellen co-producer for The Ellen Show for 8 years. 3 months after The Ellen Show shut down, Anne Heche ends up dying in a freak accident. Coincidentally, this accident happened around the same time that Anne Heche was working on a documentary called The Silent Children that was going to expose a global child trafficking ring. Anne Heche was in the process of making a documentary about child trafficking and adrenochrome harvesting in Hollywood. Unfortunately, she was involved in a car accident and perished on the scene. However, drone footage tells a different tale.
By understanding how human really works, you can make a difference in the life of someone at risk.
Ambulance, that's some sort of sign, but yes. So basically the activity that we were looking for, that anxious or that quick moving, that was going on the other side of the vehicle. Oh my gosh, he's completely alive.
What the hell?
In May 2002, the Ellen DeGeneres show was canceled, and then 2 months later, Anne Heche, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, was in a really bad car accident where she flew her Mini Cooper into someone's house and it caught fire. And what has never sat right with me is the cross comparison between the coroner's report and the actual aerial footage. The coroner's report says that she was unconscious until her death, after just from smoke inhalation and from being brain dead from the fumes in her brain. But if you look at the footage, she sits straight up, and that takes a conscious effort, I feel, but I'm not a scientist. I mean, I'm not a doctor. But the other thing is her other host, her co-host Twitch, died 4 months after that. And I just think that that's a suspicious amount of like close people around you dying in weird ways.
Anne Heche lived with Ellen and saw firsthand everything that Ellen was involved in. Ellen would show up to Rose's house with Anne Heche multiple times, and Rosie noticed that at times it felt like Ellen was manipulating Anne. When Anne died, Rosie thought that Ellen had something to do with it, and it was around this same time that Ellen left for the UK.
Anne Heche gets in this accident, and I'm bereft. Now, how did I know her? She did my show twice, and she and Ellen came to my home in Miami and swam in my pool, and we had lunch once. So
Right.
I knew her, not really well, but in the celebrity vernacular, and that she was with Ellen for a while, and then how her career suffered, and her book, Call Me Crazy. There was a horribly, horribly tragic child abuse in that family, and I've always sort of felt sorry for her. So when she's dying and when that all happens, I'm legitimately bereft in a way that maybe surprised me. I'd wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, something's wrong. Oh, Anne Heche is in a coma. Like, it was obsessive to me. So she died tragically.
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have reportedly fled the US, bound for the UK, after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
They're losing their minds.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very
she could
sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia.
Bit of
Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of hypocrites.
Then there was Stephen Twitch Boss, the co-producer on Ellen's show. Stephen Twitch Boss died in December of 2022, roughly 7 months after Ellen shut down. Twitch left her a note before his death, where he allegedly mentioned his time on The Ellen Show being a huge source of burden that was forcing him to take this extreme step.
We're learning more tonight about the tragic suicide of Stephen Twitch Boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before his suicide, he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in under his own name and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left a suicide note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past. Entertainer Tyler Perry knows firsthand what that is like.
I want to take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times because it was so dark. I thought the only way to make this better, this pain go away, is to end my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best part of my life.
Rosie was the only one that knew Anne Heche, and Ellen were still dating at the time of her death, so Ellen cut her off. Became famous. Margaret Cho. Margaret opened for Ellen in the 1980s, and they shared years of history on the road. But when Cho later appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show, Ellen acted like she didn't know her at all.
What, Ellen?
Ellen was like really weird and not nice to me for most of my career. And like, because I opened for her in the 1980s.
Oh, you did?
When she was a headliner in comedy clubs and not way before her big fame.
Uh-huh.
And so then when I would do her talk show in the 2000s, she acted like we just met. And I'm like, what?
One of those times.
I'm like, what? Like, that's weird. Like,
Right.
it's like, we go way back.
With the release of the Epstein files, more and more details of Ellen's connection to Epstein have started to come out. If you compare the set of Ellen's show to Epstein Island, some fans believe that the set of Ellen's show was modeled after a temple on Epstein's Island. While we're on the topic of weird things Ellen was caught doing, some sources online have even pointed to strange symbolism hidden in some of Ellen's videos. March 2020, right when COVID lockdowns began, Ellen DeGeneres made a bizarre video wearing a hoodie with a red bloody face, the same face that Jay-Z was later spotted wearing.
Did you know that Ellen DeGeneres' stage set is exactly the same as on Epstein Island, with all the couches, the same colour, the same soft furnishings, palm trees, window, everything to the T. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Hey, we're getting some up now.
Getting some up now on our screen.
Yeah, there's palm trees. You're right.
But look at the backdrop behind her, striped building.
No, Emma, there's
palm
nothing
trees.
to see here.
So don't berate her.
I'm not berating. I'm just saying.
I'm going to look further.
Symbolism will be their downfall. Or is it just art? And let me be the first to tell you, it's all connected. I mean, if you know, you know. But first, let's go back to that video of Ellen DeGeneres. When the camera turns, you can see the inside of her house. Now, see that picture right there? Well, if you pause it and look it up, it says evil thoughts with revenge right next to it. Here's another picture of Ellen in her house, and this is the picture behind her. Now, the thing I'm curious about is the letters on top of the picture. These look oddly similar to the letters Marina Abramovich writes out when she does spirit cooking. Remember the beginning of the video? It's all connected. And that person that was in all red is Lady Gaga, and she went to Marina Abramovich many times for teaching. But let's continue. This is another picture of Ellen in her home. She's cutting her mother's hair, but what is that picture above her head?
If you made it this far, you already know this story goes way deeper than what the media shows you. So hit subscribe, because the next video breaks down another case that's even more disturbing. And trust me, you don't want to miss it.